If you want the best shot at winning a grant for your business, startup, side hustle, new venture in 2025, this might be the most important video you watch all year. I'm going to tell you about all the major corporate grant programs that we expect this year, millions of dollars in grants. I'll tell you when we expect them to open up, who's eligible, how much they're for, and a few tips to help you stand out and increase your chances on getting one of these grants. We helped thousands win grants in 2024. Skip gave out around 300 grants directly, and we've got a lot more coming in 2025. These corporations include Amazon, Google, Venmo, Comcast, BMO, AmEx, Gusto, UPS, eBay, Verizon, Barclays, and more. So I'll go through all of these systematically. Be sure to save this video. And if you want to be sure to not miss out on any of these, the best tip I can tell you is to make sure you have a free Skip account. All of these will be listed on the Skip app as soon as they become available, and that includes the application questions. I'll say more on that later, but you can always go to tryskip.com or search for Skip in the app stores. The link is also below. And I'd like to share this with you. 60% of folks who view one of our videos are not subscribed to our channel. It means so much when you subscribe. It allows us to devote more resources to research like this, special guests, and more. So all I ask is consider subscribing and turning on alerts. It really helps our channel. Subscribers here directly allows us to give out more grants back to entrepreneurs across the US. Okay, I've got 20 some grants to tell you about. Let me start at the top. It's January. Last year, Skip did a $10,000 kickoff grant. It is back open right now. In fact, we have two 10,000 grants open this month. And every single month, there will be $10,000 grants available on Skip. The first big corporate one from the last 2 years is the $60K Barclays Small Business Grant that usually opens up end of January, early February with a deadline in March. Last year, there were 60 grants available ranging from $2,000 to $60,000 for the grand prize winner. And the last 2 years, that's been one of the most popular grants on Skip. Also expected to open up in February for a March deadline is the UPS Store Small Biz Challenge. UPS put money towards this, $35,000. That's the grant prize pool for small businesses, so they're going to give out that amount. Unclear how many total businesses they'll give that to, but I think it was a handful of winners last year. Next up, the Gusto Impact Award, again, probably a February opening with a mid-March deadline. Gusto, the payroll company, looks like they're doing around 2 rounds a year for this. They'll have another round typically in Q4. $60,000 in prizes, typically in select cities. The cities, I don't believe, are determined ahead of time. Last year, they did several cities. Last year, several cities were eligible, so keep an eye on that to see if your city is eligible. Next up, with a likely February opening and a mid-March deadline, is the iFund Women BOTOX Cosmetic Grant Program. Now, those are both the sponsors of the program. These grants are open to everyone and any gender. $25,000 grants for groundbreaking entrepreneurs. Then what may be a March opening with an April 1st deadline, this was the case last year, is the FedEx Small Business Grant Programs. Not to be outdone by UPS, FedEx gave out $50,000 to FedEx customers last year. So I believe that involved creating a FedEx business account. So we've got the shipping grants out of the way coming up in Q1. Of course, keep in mind all along the way, we have our $10,000 grants, multiple ones every month. And last April, we did a $15,000 grants on Skip. But also opening up in March with an April deadline is the AmEx Backing Small Businesses Grant. 500 $10,000 grants for brick and mortar businesses. Now, I believe this is a multi-year program, and they still have funding available, so keep an eye out for that coming up in March or April. Then there's the BMO Celebrating Women Grant Program. Last year, I believe it opened up in April with a mid-May deadline. This is for women-owned businesses. 15 $10,000 grants to apply for. That mid-May deadline was quickly followed by the Amazon Small Business Grant with a May deadline up to $25,000 for Amazon business account holders. I expect that to be back this year as well. I also expect the Comcast Rise grant to be back. You know, we had a couple winners from that program last year. $5,000 grant for small businesses in certain geographies. That had an end of May deadline, and so did the Venmo Small Business Grant. $20,000 grants for small business owners. We may see those open in April or May this year. Then there's the ADP Grit and Wisdom contest, very popular on Skip, $75,000 in prizes for small businesses. ADP, another payroll provider like Gusto. I just want to say this: every time we list a business, we send thousands and thousands of folks to these corporations. Then they reach out to Skip and they say, hey, what are you guys doing? This is amazing. And I always tell them, keep doing your grant programs. Small business owners love it. It's great for their business, not only for goodwill, but it's also educating people about their product. At Skip, we donate a large part of our revenue back to entrepreneurs just because we believe it's the right thing to do to pay it forward. I tell all these corporations, which have hundreds of millions and mostly billions of dollars in revenue, to keep doing it, which leads us to one of the biggest grant programs you can expect this year, probably a couple times, is the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready. Last couple years, they've done 2 rounds per year. The first one we expect this year may open up in May and will have an end of June deadline. Open to everyone. It's $10,000 grants and digital resources for small businesses. We've partnered with them on these programs, so I definitely speak highly of Verizon's program there. That's followed by Intuit QuickBooks grant program, probably opening in May with the end of June deadline. They had 20 $10,000 grants for small businesses. We're halfway through the year with these projected corporate grants. We're getting into the home stretch, so I'll wrap in a minute. But you don't want to miss the last one I mentioned. Okay, following Intuit QuickBooks grant program is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, America's top 100 small businesses. Now, this required payment last year, a U.S. Chamber membership, but I'm mentioning them because they're quite popular. The Chamber talks about Skip's grant programs all the time. The grand prize here is a $25,000 grant for a U.S. small business, but there are some smaller prizes. That one had a mid-July deadline, so we expect that to open up maybe in May or June this year. Now we're getting into August. Xero Beautiful Business Fund had a 42,000 grants program in 2024. It might be back this year. That was for Xero small business customers. Another accounting software not to be outdone by Intuit QuickBooks. Okay, I'm about to reveal the most popular grant that wasn't a Skip grant from last year. But first, I would love to know in the comments which ones of these you're most excited about. If you win a grant, what do you want to use it for to grow your business? We always say funding and grants are the means, not the ends. What do you want to achieve? Is it a new website? Is it a business plan? Is it marketing? 3 things we have available for you on Skip, by the way, links in the description. Is it hiring? Is it other operating expenses? What would you use a typical $10,000 or $25,000 grant for? The most popular grant we listed, mainly because we had it listed for 4 or 5 months, was the Fast Break for Small Business Grant. I think we listed it in the spring, but the deadline wasn't until September 14th. So there was ample time for folks to learn about it. 150 $10,000 grants for small business owners. And you may be asking, what does it mean when I say a small business owner? Well, you should check their criteria for each grant. Sometimes that means you need to have a legal entity, sometimes not. So just check the eligibility for all of these when they open up. Okay, to wrap up, we are in Q4 of projected big grants in 2025. First, with a projected October deadline, is the $100,000 Imagination Fund. They're not as well known as some of these other bigger corporations I've mentioned to you, but it is $51,000 to $10,000 grants for creative projects. So if you're a creative, keep an eye on that. Then the 15% Pledge Achievement Award, $200,000 grant for a Black-owned e-commerce business. I also mentioned that because of the size of the grant. Also probably opening up in October with an end of October or early November deadline is the NAACP PowerShift Entrepreneurship Grant. That is for Black-owned businesses, just like the previous one, $25K grant. Okay, back to corporate America, rounding out with 4 options. eBay Circular Fashion Fund will likely open up in October with a November deadline, up to $50,000 for circular fashion businesses, open to everyone who qualifies for that. Then the Gusto Impact Award and Verizon Digital Ready grants will be back open, probably with November or December deadlines. This year, there was a Verizon Digital Superfan grant, $25,000 grant, and trips to this year's Super Bowl. Will Verizon do that again? Let's see. There was an end of November deadline for that. And finally, another FedEx grant to end the year, $10,000 grant opportunity. Do you see a theme there among these big corporations typically doing grant programs once or twice a year that aligns with their interests? I hope you can take advantage of these. Do you have a favorite? And comment what you're going to use this funding for. All of these grants will be listed on the Skip app and website when they open up. And by the way, this is far from exhaustive. I just cherry picked some of the more popular ones. There's hundreds of other grants that will be listed on Skip, including our twice a week $1,000 instant grants. We give out several every single week. Go to tryskip.com. Thanks for watching and subscribing. Most importantly, stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.